It's Halloween night, and the air is filled with the crispness of fall. Jack-o'-lanterns flicker on porches, and the streets are alive with children dressed as ghosts, superheroes, and witches. My son, Ethan, is bouncing with excitement beside me, clad in his Spider-Man costume. I'm dressed as Dracula, complete with a cape and fake fangs. Come on, Dad. Let's get more candy. Ethan's eyes sparkle as he clutches his nearly full pumpkin-shaped bucket. All right, buddy, I say, ruffling his hair. One more street, then we head back. Ethan nods eagerly, and we continue our journey from house to house. The neighborhood is buzzing with the spirit of Halloween, kids darting from one yard to another, parents chatting and laughing. But my mind keeps drifting back to my wife, Lisa. She was supposed to be here with us, celebrating and enjoying the night. But an urgent call from work came in just as we were about to leave. She had to rush out, promising she'd join us later if she could. I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that had settled in my stomach since she left. We approach a large, elaborately decorated house. The lawn is filled with fake tombstones and cobwebs, and a spooky soundtrack plays from hidden speakers. The front door is ajar. An eerie green light spills out. Wow, Dad, look at this one. It's awesome. Ethan exclaims, pulling me towards the house. Yeah, pretty cool, I say, but something about the open door makes me hesitant. Let's be quick, okay? We walk up the pathway, and I notice there's no one around to hand out candy. Just as I'm about to suggest we move on, Ethan pushes the door open wider. Trick or treat, he shouts into the house. There's no response, just the muffled sound of voices deeper inside. My curiosity gets the better of me, and I step inside, holding Ethan's hand tightly. Hello? I call out. Anyone here? We move through the dimly lit hallway, the eerie green light casting shadows that dance on the walls. The voices grow clearer, a mix of laughter and hushed conversation. My heart starts to race, a sinking feeling growing stronger with each step. We reach a large living room, and I stop dead in my tracks. On the couch, in a compromising position, is my wife, Lisa, half naked and laughing with a man in a werewolf costume. The scene feels like a punch to the gut, the air knocked out of my lungs. Dad, what's wrong? Ethan's voice pulls me back to the moment. Quickly, I cover his eyes with my hand and turn him away from the sight. Nothing, buddy. Let's go. My voice trembles, but I force myself to stay calm for his sake. As we rush out of the house, my mind races. Lisa's betrayal is like a dagger in my heart. I feel anger, hurt, and confusion all at once. But one thing is clear, I can't let this go. I need to protect my son and myself from this deception. Back home, I put Ethan to bed, his candy bucket forgotten in the hallway. He's too young to understand what he almost saw, and I intend to keep it that way. Once he's asleep, I sit on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. My mind replays the scene over and over. Lisa, laughing, carefree, with another man. The pain is almost unbearable. I pick up my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find my best friend, Mike. I need someone to talk to, someone who can help me think clearly. Hey, Mike, I say when he answers. I need to see you. Can you come over? Sure thing, man. What's going on? His voice is filled with concern. I'll explain when you get here. Mike arrives within minutes, and I let him in, leading him to the living room. I pour us both a drink, my hand shaking with anger and betrayal. Lisa's cheating on me, I blurt out, my voice barely above a whisper. I caught her tonight, at that big house on Maple Street. Mike's eyes widen in shock. No way. Are you sure? I nod, recounting the events of the evening. As I speak, the reality of the situation sinks in deeper. Lisa's betrayal isn't just a moment of weakness, it's a deliberate choice that has shattered our family. What are you going to do? Mike asks, his voice steadying me. I don't know yet, I admit. But I can't let her get away with this. She needs to know that she's broken our trust, our family. Mike nods, his expression grim. I'm here for you, whatever you need. As the night wears on, I start to form a plan. Lisa needs to face the consequences of her actions. Our marriage is over, but I won't let her ruin everything. I'll protect Ethan and make sure she understands the gravity of her betrayal. In the darkness of the living room, I vow to get back at her, to rebuild my life without her deceit. This is just the beginning. The real battle starts now. The morning after Halloween, the sunlight streams through the blinds, mocking the dark reality that has settled over my life. I wake up with a heavy heart, the events of last night replaying in my mind. Ethan is still asleep, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in our lives. As I get up and head to the kitchen, my phone buzzes on the counter. It's Lisa, her name flashing on the screen. I hesitate for a moment before answering. Hey, babe, she says, her voice casual. I got home late last night and didn't want to wake you. How was trick-or-treating with Ethan? I clench my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. It was fine, I reply, my voice colder than usual. That's good. I'll see you tonight. Love you. She hangs up before I can respond, her cheerful tone grating against my nerves. I need to take action. I need to gather evidence and build my case against her. I can't let her continue to deceive me while I sit idly by. I grab my laptop and start researching private investigators. I need someone who can help me uncover the truth and get the proof I need. After a few calls, I find a reputable PI agency. They promise to send someone over by the afternoon. I hang up and take a deep breath, feeling a small sense of relief. At least I'm doing something. Ethan wakes up a little later, his usual bright smile lighting up his face. Morning, Dad. Can we eat the candy now? I force a smile and ruffle his hair. Sure, buddy. But just a couple of pieces before breakfast, okay? As he dives into his candy stash, I start making breakfast. My mind is racing, but I focus on the routine tasks, trying to keep things normal for Ethan. Later that afternoon, there's a knock on the door. I open it to find a tall, serious-looking man in a suit. He introduces himself as Jake, the private investigator. Mr. Thompson, I understand you need some help with a delicate matter, he says, stepping inside. Yes, I reply, motioning for him to sit. My wife. I think she's cheating on me. I need proof. Jake nods, pulling out a notebook. Tell me everything you know. I recount the events of last night, the open door, the scene in the living room, the man in the werewolf costume. Jake listens intently, jotting down notes. I'll start with a background check on your wife and the man you saw, he says once I finish. We'll set up surveillance and gather evidence. It might take a few days, but we'll get you what you need. Thank you, I say, shaking his hand. I just want the truth. As Jake leaves, I feel a mix of anxiety and determination. This is the first step towards uncovering the betrayal and taking control of my life again. In the evening, Lisa comes home, her usual cheerful self. She greets Ethan with a hug and kisses me on the cheek. The touch feels like a burn, a reminder of her deceit. How was your day? She asks, opening the fridge to grab a drink. Busy, I reply, forcing a smile. How about you? Exhausting, she says with a sigh. Work was crazy. I'm glad it's over. We sit down for dinner, the conversation flowing easily between her and Ethan. I watch her closely, noting every detail, every lie hidden behind her smile. My resolve hardens with each passing moment. After dinner, Ethan goes to bed, and Lisa and I sit on the couch, watching TV. The tension between us is palpable, but she seems oblivious. Are you okay? She asks, glancing at me. You've been quiet all night. Just tired, I lie, turning to her. Work's been stressful. She nods sympathetically, snuggling closer. I resist the urge to pull away, playing my part for now. Over the next few days, Jake keeps me updated. He sends me photos and recordings documenting Lisa's every move. The evidence is undeniable. She meets the same man from Halloween, sneaking away during lunch breaks and after work. My anger grows with each new piece of information. One evening, I call Mike over again. I need his support, his guidance. "Mike, I've got proof," I say as he walks in. "Lisa's been cheating on me. The PI found everything." "Jesus, man," Mike says, his face a mix of anger and sympathy. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to confront her," I reply, my voice steady. "I can't let this go on." "Do you need me there?" he asks, his loyalty unwavering. "No, but I appreciate it. I need to do this alone." That night, I wait for Lisa to come home. My heart pounds in my chest, a mix of fear and determination. When she walks through the door, I take a deep breath and step forward. "Lisa, we need to talk." She looks at me, confused. "Sure, what's up?" "I know about the affair," I say, my voice firm. "I have proof." Her face pales, and she takes a step back. "What are you talking about?" "Don't lie to me," I snap, pulling out the photos and recordings. "I hired a PI. I've seen everything." Tears well up in her eyes as she realizes there's no escape. "I'm sorry," she whispers, her voice trembling. "I never meant for it to go this far." "Sorry doesn't cut it," I say, my anger boiling over. "You destroyed our family." She breaks down, sobbing. But I feel no sympathy. This is the consequence of her actions. "I'm filing for divorce," I say, my voice cold. "I can't trust you anymore." The words hang in the air, final and irrevocable. Lisa's sobs fill the silence, but I stand firm. This is the beginning of a new chapter, one where I rebuild my life without her deceit. As she collapses onto the couch, crying, I walk away, leaving her to face the reality of her betrayal. The road ahead will be tough, but I know I can get through it. For Ethan, and for myself. The days following the confrontation are a blur of emotions and tense silence. Lisa moves to the guest room, and we navigate around each other, our interactions clipped and strained. Ethan senses the tension, his usually cheerful demeanor shadowed by confusion. "Dad, why is Mom sleeping in the guest room?" he asks one morning, his innocent eyes searching mine for answers. I kneel to his level, struggling to find the right words. "Mom and Dad are having some grown-up problems right now, buddy. But we both love you very much, and that will never change." Ethan nods, though I can see the worry in his eyes. I hug him tightly, wishing I could shield him from all of this. At work, I struggle to focus. My thoughts constantly drift to the situation at home. My boss, Janet, notices my distraction and calls me into her office. "David, is everything all right? You haven't been yourself lately," she says, her voice filled with concern. I take a deep breath, deciding to be honest. "I'm going through a tough time, Janet. My wife, she cheated on me. I'm in the process of filing for divorce." Janet's eyes soften with sympathy. "I'm so sorry to hear that. If you need some time off or any support, please don't hesitate to ask." "Thank you," I say, grateful for her understanding. "I'll let you know if I need anything." That evening, I sit down with Lisa to discuss the next steps. The tension is thick, and the silence between us feels like a physical barrier. "We need to talk about the divorce," I say, my voice steady. "And how we're going to handle things with Ethan." Lisa nods, her eyes red and swollen from crying. "I understand. I don't want to hurt him. We need to be honest with him, but we also need to make sure he feels loved and supported," I reply. "We'll tell him together, and we'll work out a schedule for custody." Lisa wipes her eyes, taking a deep breath. "All right. I'll follow your lead." As we begin to discuss the logistics, the doorbell rings. I open it to find Mike standing there, a serious look on his face. Hey, David. Can we talk? He asks, glancing over my shoulder at Lisa. Sure, I say, stepping outside and closing the door behind me. What's up? I just wanted to check on you, Mike says, his voice low. I know this is a tough time, and I want you to know I'm here for you. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it, I reply, feeling a surge of gratitude for my friend. It's been rough, but I'm handling it. Have you thought about what you're going to do next? He asks, concern etched on his face. I'm focusing on the divorce and making sure Ethan is okay, I say. Beyond that, I haven't really thought ahead. Mike nods, understanding. Just take it one step at a time. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to call. The next few days are a whirlwind of paperwork and difficult conversations. Lisa and I sit down with a lawyer to begin the divorce proceedings. The meeting is tense, but we manage to stay civil for the sake of getting through it. One evening, as I'm tucking Ethan into bed, he looks up at me with wide eyes. Dad, are you and Mom going to be okay? I feel a lump in my throat, but I force a smile. We're going to be okay, buddy. Things are changing, but we'll always be here for you. Ethan nods, hugging his stuffed animal tightly. I love you, Dad. I love you too, Ethan, I say, kissing his forehead. Always. The next morning, I wake up early and head to the gym. I need to clear my mind and find some semblance of normalcy. As I work through my routine, I feel a strange mix of anger and determination. I can't let Lisa's betrayal define my life. I have to move forward, for Ethan and for myself. Back home, I find Lisa in the kitchen, making breakfast. The smell of coffee and pancakes fills the air, a stark contrast to the tension that still lingers. Morning, she says softly, her eyes avoiding mine. Morning, I reply, pouring myself a cup of coffee. We sit in silence for a moment, the only sound the sizzle of the pancakes on the griddle. David, I've been thinking, she begins, her voice tentative. About what you said about being honest with Ethan. I think we should tell him today. I nod, agreeing. You're right. It's time. After breakfast, we sit down with Ethan in the living room. He looks at us with wide, curious eyes, sensing that something important is about to happen. Ethan, I begin, taking his small hands in mine. Mom and I need to talk to you about something. Okay, he says, his voice small and uncertain. Mom and Dad are going through a tough time right now, Lisa continues, her voice trembling slightly. We're going to live in different houses for a while. Ethan's eyes widen with fear. Are you getting a divorce? The word hangs heavy in the air, and I feel a pang of guilt. Yes, buddy. We are. But that doesn't mean we love you any less. We'll always be here for you, no matter what. Tears well up in his eyes, and he clings to me, his little body shaking with sobs. I don't want you to get a divorce. I hold him tightly, my own heart breaking. I know, Ethan. I know. But sometimes, grown-ups have to make tough decisions. We're still a family, and we always will be. Lisa joins us, wrapping her arms around us both. We love you so much, Ethan. And we'll always be there for you. As we sit there, holding each other, I realize that this is just the beginning of a long and difficult journey. But I also know that we have to face it together for the sake of our son. In the days that follow, we start to adjust to our new reality. Lisa moves out, and we work out a custody schedule that allows Ethan to spend time with both of us. The house feels emptier without her, but I focus on making it a warm and loving environment for Ethan. One evening, as I'm helping Ethan with his homework, the doorbell rings. I open it to find Jake, the private investigator, standing there with a serious look on his face. David, I have some information for you, he says, handing me a folder. I take it, my heart pounding. What is it? It's about the man Lisa was seeing. I did some digging, and there's more to his story than we initially thought. I open the folder and start to read, my eyes widening with each passing line. The man isn't just some random fling. He's connected to a larger web of deceit and betrayal that goes deeper than I ever imagined. As I process the information, I realize that this is far from over. The truth is more complicated than I thought, and uncovering it will be the key to moving forward. Thank you, Jake, I say, my voice steady. I'll take it from here. As I close the door, I know that the road ahead will be challenging. But I'm ready to face it, for Ethan and for myself. The journey is just beginning, and I won't rest until I uncover the whole truth and rebuild my life from the ground up. The days turn into weeks as I delve deeper into the information Jake provided. The man Lisa was involved with, Daniel, isn't just an ordinary guy. He's part of a larger scheme involving embezzlement and corporate espionage. As the pieces fall into place, the full extent of the deception becomes clear. One evening, I sit down with Mike, spreading the documents across the kitchen table. Look at this, Mike. It's not just an affair. Lisa and Daniel were siphoning money from her company. They're planning to flee with a substantial amount. Mike's eyes widen as he scans the documents. Holy crap, David. This is serious. Have you gone to the authorities? Not yet, I say, my voice firm. I need to confront Lisa first. She needs to know that I know everything. Mike nods, his expression grave. Be careful, man. This is a whole new level of betrayal. That night, after putting Ethan to bed, I call Lisa and ask her to come over. She arrives, looking wary. What is it, David? What's so urgent? I lead her to the kitchen and gesture to the document on the table. Sit down, Lisa. We need to talk. She sits, her eyes flickering over the papers. What is all this? This, I say, my voice cold and steady, is proof of your involvement with Daniel. Not just the affair, but the embezzlement. The money you've been stealing from your company. Her face drains of color, and she glances at the door, as if considering running. David, I can explain. Don't, I cut her off. I've heard enough lies. I want the truth. Now. Lisa takes a deep breath, her hands trembling. It started as a fling, a stupid mistake. But then Daniel approached me with this plan. He said we could make a lot of money, enough to start a new life. I got caught up in it. I stare at her, my anger boiling over. You betrayed me, Lisa. You betrayed our family. And for what? Money? Tears stream down her face as she nods. I know I messed up, David. But I love you. I love Ethan. Can't we find a way to move past this? I shake my head, my heart hardened by the betrayal. No, Lisa. There's no coming back from this. I can't trust you. And I won't let you get away with what you've done. Just then, there's a knock on the door. I open it to find 2 police officers standing there. Mr. Thompson? We're here about the embezzlement case. I nod and step aside, letting them in. They approach Lisa, who looks at me with wide, panicked eyes. David, please. Don't do this. I have to, I say, my voice breaking. For Ethan. For myself. The officers read Lisa her rights and place her in handcuffs. As they lead her out, she turns to me, her eyes pleading. I'm sorry, David. I'm so sorry. I watch as the door closes behind her, the weight of the situation settling heavily on my shoulders. Mike, who had been watching from the living room, walks over and places a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, David, he says quietly. Did I? I reply, my voice hollow. It doesn't feel like it. She made her choices, Mike says. Now it's time for you to make yours. In the days that follow, I focus on rebuilding my life. I work closely with the authorities to ensure Lisa and Daniel face justice for their crimes. The process is exhausting, but it's a necessary step towards moving on. One evening, as I'm sitting with Ethan, helping him with his homework, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Jake, the PI. Jake, David, there's something you need to see. Can you meet me at my office? I glance at Ethan, who is engrossed in his math problems. Ethan, I need to step out for a bit. Mike will be here if you need anything, okay? He nods, not looking up. Okay, Dad. I head to Jake's office, my mind racing. When I arrive, he greets me with a serious expression. David, we've uncovered something new. He hands me a file, and as I read through it, my blood runs cold. Are you sure about this? Absolutely, Jake says. We verified it multiple times. The file reveals that Daniel isn't just involved in embezzlement. He's been manipulating Lisa from the start, using her to access her company's funds. But there's more. He's part of a larger criminal network, and their plan involved framing Lisa as the sole perpetrator if things went south. I feel a surge of anger and a renewed sense of purpose. We need to get this to the authorities. Jake nods. Already in motion. But you needed to know. I leave Jake's office, my mind a whirlwind of thoughts. The betrayal goes deeper than I ever imagined. But now, armed with this new information, I have the power to fight back. The following weeks are a blur of legal battles and media attention. Lisa's case becomes a high-profile scandal, and as the truth comes to light, the public outrage is palpable. I make sure to protect Ethan from the media frenzy, keeping our lives as normal as possible. Finally, the day of the trial arrives. I sit in the courtroom, watching as the prosecution lays out the case. Lisa looks pale and defeated, but there's a glimmer of hope in her eyes when the evidence of Daniel's manipulation is presented. When it's my turn to testify, I stand tall, recounting the events with clarity and conviction. As I speak, I see Lisa's eyes fill with tears, a mix of regret and resignation. The trial concludes with a guilty verdict for both Lisa and Daniel. As they're led away in handcuffs, Lisa turns to me one last time. I'm sorry, David. I never meant for it to end this way. I nod, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. Goodbye, Lisa. In the weeks that follow, I focus on rebuilding my life and providing a stable, loving environment for Ethan. Mike remains a constant support, helping me navigate the challenges of single parenthood. One evening, as Ethan and I sit on the porch, watching the sunset, he looks up at me with wide, trusting eyes. Dad, are we going to be okay? I smile, ruffling his hair. Yeah, buddy. We're going to be just fine. As the sun dips below the horizon, I feel a sense of peace. The journey has been long and painful, but we're moving forward. The past is behind us, and the future is ours to shape. And so, with a renewed sense of purpose, I embrace the new chapter in our lives, determined to build a future filled with love, honesty, and hope.